Hello everyone, welcome to the March 17th League of Legends DFS slate breakdown. Haven't been doing these videos for a while, had some family stuff going on for a while. Fortunately, kind of getting a little bit back to normal here. Everything is fine, just in case anybody was wondering. Just kind of got short, short time period, forced into doing a little bit of babysitting. But everything is fine. Everything is good. We can get back to kind of the regularly scheduled programming here. So, yeah, let's get started. I don't even know when the last video was, but so I'm gonna kind of recap a little bit of what we've missed and what's been happening. Um, if memory serves, the last video I think was either I don't remember, but yesterday, I guess, technically today, depending on how you look at it. Top Esports got the 2-0 over anyone's legend. This was a very AL series from them. Although I was on the wrong side of it, as I always am if AL lose. That's just kind of how it goes with AL. Yeah, I don't know. In a weird way, the fact that AL is so unpredictable kind of makes them predictable in a way. It's kind of like if people are in tune with like the LCS, it's kind of like how the old CLG was. They called them counter logic gaming. Well, one, because that's their name, and two, because they'd always lose to much worse teams and they'd get an upset over good teams. That's kind of how it feels with AL. They're much like, I don't know, the older Steelers a little bit. I don't know. They're just a weird team in that aspect, in how they play and just kind of what they do. I don't know how else to describe it. They actually were in a pretty good spot in the first game. They were definitely in a spot to win it. They just kind of fell apart a little, and I don't know. It's like they get so desperate for some reason, and then they just like over force these weird engages. Like they were in a winning spot in the first game up until they Chocho like flash set ulted into like four people. His team tried to like back him up and get into the fight, but they were too far away, and it happened way too many times with the Chocho set ult. He was just ulting away from all of his team, so it was way too hard for anyone to close the gap, and he was just dead before anything even happened. It was tough scenes, but it's like the same story with AL all the time. It's like the second you count them out is when they step it up and um, start performing well. And the second when you have expectations of them, or if, for example, if there's playoffs on the line, then they're gonna disappear. That's just kind of what happens. I don't know what it is. It feels like pretty like a mental thing. It's like as soon as they have no pressure, they're fine and they're a decent team. Don't want to say good necessarily, but then you have the pressure on them of like, maybe if we win this, or maybe looking at some playoff games here, like the pressure's on them, and they just crumble. I think this was actually a very winnable series for them. They were in a decent position in the first game. It's tough because the second game was definitely one sided. The second game was all top esports. There's no questioning that. But I think the big difference there was like if you lose game one in such a tilting fashion, it kind of is expected that game two will kind of go that way as well. Um, I don't know. It's just a weird thing for them. The night before that, we had IG EDG. Again, gonna get swept on that one. I was on IG and EDG pretty heavily. I think I might have made a video for this one, a short one. Um, I thought IG was being undervalued. I thought EDG was being undervalued as well. I actually like those spots a lot, and it's pretty rare, honestly. Well, at least it feels like it, where I have kind of strong feelings about these games, and it's wrong. Usually we have like slight leans and we're not feeling too much. So when we do have those spots where we're confident or sorry, I keep trying to mix comfortable and confident, but when we do have those confident spots, they're pretty rare. So we try to take advantage of them, and we kind of got swept there. Day before that, BLG Ultra Prime. I mean, BLG is just kind of in turmoil. There's no else way to put it. They definitely could have and should have lost Ultra Prime. That game three was definitely very winnable for Ultra Prime. They definitely should have won it. Honestly, they had like such a huge lead. It's so disappointing that they ended up losing to that BLG series. So I don't know. I think all in all, I feel like I do kind of still have a decent grasp and a decent read on these LPL games. We are getting to the back end of the LPL season where it almost turns into its whole different beast. Um, as we know, late game or like end of season LPL is crazy. It's a whole different thing. We see some real trolling. We see some real Fiesta stuff. We see some real weird stuff. Um, so that's something to keep in mind. Like these teams that don't have to play for anything, some scenarios we'll talk about them like day by day as they do go. But sometimes it's like a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But we'll talk about these things as they come. Um, we've seen some. I mean, I will never forget the one series of Anyone's Legend. They were formed when they were known as Rogue Warriors at the time against OMG. I mean, they 5v5 fought for top lane Scuttle Crab, I want to say at like 5 minutes, and then they fought 5v5 bottom lane at the bottom Scuttle Crab at like 7 minutes. Like it was ridiculous. Like they do not care. We've seen absolutely crazy things. A little tidbit of information for people who probably aren't as storied, I guess, in the LPL. There was a game where the Invictus Gaming owner, not talking the T1 jungler, I'm talking the owner of Invictus Gaming. He played League of Legends, I guess, in his spare time. He got to Diamond 4, which is somewhat good, decent rank, but obviously not for pro players. He ended up playing for Invictus Gaming on stage, and it's just like such a weird story. Like I think they ended up winning, but I mean, obviously the rest of his team was insane. I believe it was the year they won Worlds. I'm not sure. It was one of the years Invictus Gaming was really, really strong, and the owner of the organization subbed in for their AD carry and ended up playing and winning the map for them. Obviously, it was through everywhere else, but I mean, I get esports is a different beast in that thing. But could anybody imagine an organization owner, an organization manager, anything like that coming in and playing in a professional series? I mean, granted, it did mean nothing, but still, like it's still a league game. It still counts. Like it's still an official match. I mean, it means nothing, but it's still an official match that's being played, and the organization owner subbed in and played for them. Like it was absolute crazy thing. So that's like the level of madness. I don't know if that we can expect. I don't expect that to happen again. But I'm just saying, like, there are no bounds when it comes to late end of season LPL. When these things don't matter, or they matter less, like it gets crazy. We'll talk about that, especially when it comes down to these lower end teams like AL, LNG, Ultra Prime, Thunder Talk, WE, Invictus Gaming. I mean, I guess AL is technically out of it now. The only four teams that are, I mean, I guess most of these teams are playing for seeding and positioning. I think the top two spots matter the most because you get a first round bye, and then everybody else plays each other. So, and then we of course have RA, BLG, FPX, and OMG still fighting for those final 3 playoff spots. One of them is going to miss out on it. It's kind of tough to see who. I mean, OMG don't play for a while, and they have a whole slew of games at the end of the year. Of course, they play RNG, LNG, and FPX. There's a real chance that this March 23rd game of OMG's ends up deciding playoffs. You know, there's a lot up in the air, but these things do matter. So, yeah, I guess we kind of spent a long time just talking about nonsense, so we can get into looking ahead today. I do think we have some decent games. Let's start off with the lineups and the teams and stuff. So we have JDG against RA. I'm honestly going to kind of keep this one a little bit short and sweet here with this one. I think JDG should absolutely stomp RA in just about every aspect. I think this is, again, how I continue to make the comparison of, MMA fighters to, like, League of Legends and how styles do make these fights. I think that's definitely true in League of Legends. I think it's a good way to look at it as well. I think JDG absolutely decimate RA stylistically. I think this is probably the worst matchup in the league for RA. RA continuously get caught out of position. They're not that great when it comes to team fighting, positioning, that kind of stuff. So when it comes down to what JDG does well, they're hyper aggressive. They're willing to make moves and do stuff around the map. And I think that the reason that is a problem is because we know players like Leanne, sometimes Strive, very much iBoy, they like to make mistakes. They'll get in these positions where they can get caught out and lose fights for their team. JDG are going to continue to look and fish for those, and they're going to push those advantages when they get them. I think this is one of the best matchups you can have for JDG, one of the worst ones you can have for RA. Sorry about that. But I just feel like JDG should be pretty heavily favored in this one. I'm not sure what the line will be. I've yet to look at the lines for these games because I want to do the little exercise that I like to practice of making my own odds and comparing them and going from there. I think off the top of my head, I think JDG should probably be a decently sized favorite. I think maybe minus 220, but again, that still feels like maybe that feels a little thin. I'm not sure. We'll have to look, but I think these teams are both close in the standings, I believe. Yeah, they're 6th and 8th, so I do think in the standings they're close. So maybe I'm not sure what odds we're going to see, but I like JDG here. I like them a lot. I like them to get the 2-0. I like stacking them up pretty heavily. I think they're going to have a lot of advantages or a lot of opportunities to create advantages. We kind of know what's going on with the players in this one. It's kind of very centric about Kanavi, Hope, and Missing, the jungle and bottom laners. They do mix in a lot of 369. He's a pretty good top laner when it comes to DraftKings scoring and stuff. Has a good amount of kill participation and kill share. We'll talk about players later, but I think we can kind of touch on these things as we talk about them as well. If I'm stacking JDG, Yagao is usually the one I leave off, although I don't think it's necessarily impossible to get there either. I think it can make sense. We'll have to look though. Team WE Thunder Talk. This one's pretty weird as well. Again, this is one where we have the two bottom teams in the league, 16, 17, literally the two worst teams in the league. I think maybe there's a case LGD is one of those, but I think either way, these are the absolute bottom two of the bottom three. So this is going to be a gross one. Again, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying we have these teams that are playing for nothing, and it matters. It matters a lot. I could definitely see a lot of weird Fiesta stuff happening here. Granted, it's a little tough because some of these players are most likely playing for like positions on their team, playing for starting jobs, playing for their livelihood essentially. So they're not going to want to get crazy with it, but there's still an element of it where they're playing with no repercussions in a way because they've been eliminated from playoffs. They're both really bad teams. It's the end of season. Like these things don't matter as much. So I think this opens up a lot of weird potential here. In terms of lining this game, I'd expect Thunder Talk are going to be the favorite. I feel like we've seen a little bit more from them. Yeah, they've just had a little bit more fight as of late. Both the teams are looking bad. There's no doubt about that. They're the bottom two teams in the league, but they're both teams I've had faith in, but I don't know. I feel like we've just seen a little bit more fight and a little bit more ability from them, like in a way. They're the bottom. We're not going to look at these matches history and say, oh, they beat this. Or we're not going to find anything here. They both just lost for a long time. Team WE did beat IG, went to 3 with FPX, but I don't know. This is about as 50-50 as it gets. Maybe if the odds are weird in one way, um, we can look at that maybe. But I think this is a very 50-50 game. My slight lean is quick. I don't know. I could see this one going either way. Honestly, I feel like this is a complete coin flip for me. I'm gonna have to look at odds and see. I'd imagine TT will be the favorite, but maybe I honestly kind of slightly lean towards maybe the WE side. I feel like they've shown actually a little bit of skill, and I've been really impressed with Biu, Beishong, Xie. The bottom lane stuff does concern me. I think Puff and Southwind are a little bit better, a good bit better than Xing and Kadaya. Um, but I'm not too scared of New, Chieftain, and UCal. I think Biu, Beishong, and Xie are much better than their opponents here. And I don't know, it'll be close. I think WE can do enough here, maintain some semblance of I don't know, evenness in the bottom lane and let Beishong and Xie kind of win the 2v2, roam the map, and dominate it that way. So my slight lean there is Team WE, but we'll look at the odds and stuff and see. So no lineups to look at for the LCK as usual, so we can quickly look at who's playing and try to do a little bit of the same stuff there. So the first one is DRX Damwon. This one's actually going to be a little weird. I'm interested to see the odds because we've saw a good bit from DRX. They were getting a lot of respect for a while, and they haven't lost either. So this is going to be a close game. I think these teams are actually pretty closely skilled. I'm excited to see the odds here. I think this is actually going to be a decent close match, maybe a little bit more action packed than the numbers will indicate, but we'll look at that later and see. Yeah, I mean, really all we've seen from DRX is them beating other really bad teams. Got the win over KT, Sandbox, Nongshim, Kwangdong. Probably, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many bad teams. It feels like in the LCK, it's kind of hard to tell. But I guess technically these are more of the middling team ish. I mean their records are really close. I'm excited to see the odds here. I could see a case for either one of these teams. I think this is an exciting LCK game, as rare as those come. I think this one is going to be close. I think it's going to be exciting, and if I'm pricing it myself, I'm probably just going to give the slight lean to this DRX team. I just feel like Damwon, there's something just not right there. I'm not sure what it is exactly. On their side, all we've seen them do is they 2-0 all the lesser teams as well. They beat Live Sandbox, Hanwha, and Nongshim, so literally the bottom three. And then they went to 3 with Gen.G. It was a somewhat close game, but again, that was not a full strength to Gen.G. I can't remember who was missing. I think it was just Chovy in that series, or maybe it was just Ruler, but I think Gen.G was missing one of their 2 players in that series, and Gen.G ended up getting it. I don't know. I'm excited to see the odds in this one. I have a feeling Damwon will be the favorite, but I like DRX in it. I feel like it's going to be close, probably a 50-50 coin flip either way. But my slight lean is to the DRX side. I feel like they've just been a little bit more cleaner, a little bit better overall. Damwon's been pretty inconsistent. I don't like Damwon's inactivity. I don't know what's changed. Damwon used to be kind of known as the LPL style team that was running through the LCK. Now they're playing a lot slower and a lot different, and I don't like it. I don't know what changed, because it's, I don't know. I mean, they did change everybody except for jungle and mid, but those are probably the 2 most important positions when it comes to setting the tempo. So, I mean, I can't imagine losing Khan would make that much of a difference in terms of tempo. I can't imagine losing Ghost and Barrel would make that much of a difference either. I don't know why Duckdom and Kellen have not found their footing here. Duckdom and Kellen were really good on Nongshim. I think part of it, I don't know, I'm kind of going off the rails here a little bit, but I think when you look at the Nongshim success from when they were decent with, I don't know, Peanut, maybe it was, I don't remember who their mid laner was, maybe BDD? No, that was a while on Gen.G, I don't know. But I think Nongshim, when they were good with Duckdom and Kellen, it was partially because of Peanut and how good Peanut is. I think Peanut is an extremely underrated jungler, as weird as it sounds. I think he's probably one of, He might be my number one jungler in the world. It's as crazy as it sounds, but he just seems so dominant and seems to dictate the game so heavily. Um, I don't know. I love Peanut. I think he's a super underrated jungler. So yeah, kind of off topic there a little, but yeah, slight lean DRX probably gonna be close. I'm excited to see the odds there. Kwangdong Hanwha, this is probably just gonna be an X out for me overall. We'll look at the stats and see if anything intrigues us from a DFS standpoint, but these feel like bad teams. Hanwha's on like another level of bad. I don't know what's going on with Hanwha's COVID stuff. I'd assume they're kind of back to normal. Um, we can look and see. Yeah, it looks like everybody, I think, is back to normal. I know checking the DraftKings stuff isn't going to tell you much because they get late news late usually. So I don't know. This one again is tough. Probably a good lean to Kwangdong, but I don't want really an exposure to it at all. Maybe that'll change, but I just don't see it there with KDF. I just really don't. I don't like either of these teams. Hanwha's really bad. Kwangdong do have some upside. I think they do have a lot of condensed, like, kind of kill share and kill participation. We know it's going to be a lot through kind of the typical LCK style. They're going to farm up. They're going to put a lot of resources into their AD. They're going to focus. They're going to focus and rely pretty heavily on Teddy. So I think they may be live in that way. Maybe more of like a cash game style of team. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at the odds maybe. But I don't know. These like lower end middling LCK games, I just don't like it. I like Damwon, or sorry, no, I don't like Damwon. I like Genji. I like T1, but it kind of feels like everybody else can lose to everybody else. So it's like, I don't know, what are we doing here in the LCK? I think again there is like a little mini tier of DRX and Damwon is like a third and fourth best team. Past that, when you're looking at all the way from 5 to 10, all those 6 teams, they'd all kind of feel like the same to me, and I just don't like that. So that's my avoidance there. So just quickly for making the like odds official, I think DRX probably minus 150, slight favorite but not crazy. Kwangdong probably 175 minus 180, something like that. A slight good bit favorite, but not anything crazy there as well. But yeah, we'll look at that and see. So we see, wow, Furia is losing. That's not good for me, but so yeah, we have the odds. Kwangdong actually minus 350. I kind of saw this coming just because of Hanwha's record and how bad they've been, but I don't think Kwangdong is that good necessarily for them to be that big of a favorite. It just feels a little rocky to me. Maybe people are going to get there. I probably just won't. I'm just not seeing that, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of fair. Maybe if you do want to one-off a team slot of Kwangdong or something, I think that makes sense. They are the most expensive one, only at 54, but maybe you can do that. But that's a way to look at it. DRX Damwon. So Damwon did end up getting the nudge minus 185. That's a little crazy to me. I don't know. I wonder what the sentiment is going to be on this game, but I really feel like Damwon should definitely not be the favorite here. Maybe they can be the slight favorite, but not minus 185. Man, that is crazy. That is a little weird to me for sure. I mean, I don't know what Damwon's shown really to like continue to get this respect, but I feel like Damwon is sort of like LNG for like a good cross league comparison here. They just continue to get these like bookmakers respect, and they continue to get these crazy inflated prices, and I really just don't understand it, honestly. I feel like DRX should be the slight favorite. I understand why the money is there for Damwon, but I cannot understand that one at all. I'm definitely gonna be riding on the DRX side. That's kind of all I have for the LCK is the one team, just DRX there. We'll have to look for DFS standards if DRX are going to make the cut, but we'll talk about that later. JDG RA. So JDG are the slight favorite. I did expect something lined like this, but again, I still feel similarly as my sentiment earlier. I think JDG should be a bigger favorite. I feel like they're a little underrated. Again, I think this is a great stylistic matchup for them. I really don't see RA being able to out team fight and outmaneuver JDG at all. I think JDG are going to be much better at keeping the gas pedal pressed down, continuing to find advantages, push their leads, and snowball games pretty heavily. And I think RA won't have the resistances to stop them. Team WE TT minus 210 on Team WE feels crazy. That definitely feels super odd to me. That definitely feels off overall. I mean, I think again, Team WE definitely the better team. They've looked better and all that stuff. Like I understand them being the slight favorite. I'd imagine somebody was going to be. But this feels like a complete 50-50. It's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be a coin flip. Like, we have the two bottom teams in the LPL, and you're telling me one of them's a minus 210? That seems absurd. That is just super absurd to me. Again, I understand the slight lane to the Team WE side, but again, this has a lot of opportunity to be that style of Fiesta game where these teams are playing for nothing, really. They've been out of it for a while, but I mean, we have the two worst teams in the league. I don't think TT is that much worse as to where they're a underdog against the other bad team. That just seems absurd to me. I think again, if we're basing off lines and stuff, like that's why we kind of do this Vegas odds talk, because I don't see this here for WE. That line is pretty absurd to me. I'm probably just going to end up taking TT. They'll probably be my underdog that I like to pair up with some of the other teams. That does leave us with JDG being my favorite, DRX and TT as decent underdog targets. I think that's fine. Like I don't hate that. I like these prices a lot. I don't know what a parlay of them would be, but I probably wouldn't recommend that either, just because of how this stuff works. But I'm probably going to be mixing and matching a good amount of DRX, JDG, TT. I do not get these prices, honestly. I don't understand why Damwon's that big of a favorite. I don't understand why Team WE is that big of a favorite. The JDG line is fair, but again, that's kind of more of a personal thing where I think JDG should stomp this matchup harder. So yeah, that's kind of leaving us where we're at. We can look at team pace and stuff and see if how things are shaping out to be in more of a DFS angle. So we have JDG versus RA. We have Team WE versus Thunder Talk. Again, so set it to just patch 12.4. I've been over this a while, but we've seen enough change in that patch to where it's like feels like it's a much different meta and stuff. I don't know if anything really heavily changed from 12.4 to 12.5, so I'm fine with leaving it at 12.4 and 12.5 in the LCK. Over there we do have the two D teams, DRX and Damwon, and then we have Hanwha Kwangdong. So I don't want to break out the calculator and do all that stuff, but so we can kind of guesstimate it in our head. So we see DRX is 8-1 with a 33-minute game time at about 3/4 of a kill per minute combined. So a kill or death per minute is at 3/4. Let's see, that is what, like 8? Wait, no, that's 24, something like that, combined kills. So about average. For the Damwon side, pretty low. 37-minute game time, combined kills of 0.6. So that's again like around that 24 range. All right, I'll break out the calculator and we can do this quickly. So we know DRX was at 33.5. We'll just round that up to 40 or 34. I believe it's times 0.075, so that's 25.5. Pretty decent there for DRX. This is again, in case you guys are a little confused, this number is the total amount of kills in the match that they've been playing on average since the previous patch and then the current patch of 12.04 and 12.5. So DRXs in their 9 games played have averaged 25.5 total kills that happened in their maps per map. So Dom 1, they're at 37 minutes of game time at 0.61 minutes. So they're pretty slow, kind of expected at 22.6. Do the same thing here for Guangdong as well. 34.4 divided by, I guess we could just do that. We don't have to round. Not divided by. We need, well, that's not what I wanted. 0.072. That was KDF. 24.8 for KDF, decent number. Against Hanwha, they're at 35.5 times 0.64. Whoops. 22.7. So, I mean, these numbers are pretty diabolical for KDF Hanwha. It averages, I don't know, to like 23.5 or something. Yeah, that's pretty low. I'd imagine that's probably going to be exactly what their like over under is at. KDF Hanwha 22. So yeah, makes sense. Don't like that. That seems a little too low for me. So we'll look over in the LPL. Do the same here. See, JDG's 8-0, so it feels a little skewed, but I like them to win anyway, so that's fine. Whoops. JDG, again, we're at 33 minutes times 0.92 kills per minute. This is going to be a crazy number. Yeah, 30.4 for JDG. Going against RA, of course, they're at 30.5 times 0.73, so they're averaging about 22.3 for RA. Man, these losing teams are not giving us much to work with here, so we don't like that. Team WE versus TT, we'll just do TT or Team W first. 30.3 times 0.81. Oh, that was divided by. I did that again. Team WE 30.3 times 0.81. There we go. So Team WE has 24.5. Team WE versus TT. Then when they're at 31.4 times 0.8. 25.1, so a little bit higher of an average there for Team WE Thunder Talk. Something to keep in mind. I do anticipate that series to be one where I kind of like it a little bit more overall, because I do like it when the team that you expect to lose, or like the losing team, I like it when they fight more, as opposed to like the teams that push pace. I do think that does matter, but if you're asking me, would I rather have a team who dies a lot versus a team that's like average, or a team that gets a lot of kills versus a team that's average in deaths, I would rather have the team that dies more as opposed to the team that gets more kills on average. So yeah, looking at this, it's pretty dire as far as the LCK games go. I think, again, when we're looking at this, I think the Team WE TT series is probably like the number one in terms of targets. Again, 2 low teams, a lot of Fiesta possibility there. End of season LPL with 2 teams that are out of it. It just kind of reeks of that style of Fiesta. I like going pretty heavy on that series. Again, my lean is just going to take the TT underdog side. So That's where I'm at. Like pairing them with JDG. Although RA's death numbers are low, so is everybody else's, and they also have the most kills. So that's the kind of like rationale there. As far as parsing out a third option, I do think Damwon DRX is probably where I like to look. Although the numbers aren't that much different from the Kwangdong Hanwha series, maybe something's there for Kwangdong. We'll look at their players as well. But just looking at the stats is definitely looking like the 2 LPL games are better than the LCK games. But again, I think the LCK ones they're live. I don't want to just X them out necessarily right away. So yeah, now that we have an idea of the games we want to focus on, we can look at the teams, or look at the players from the teams we want. Again, I leave these links in the description for anyone who wants to look at this information for your own teams. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put in the teams that I like and the ones that I'm looking at. So we have Thunder Talk, we have DRX, we have JD Gaming, JDG, and we'll throw KDF in there, although I don't necessarily love that. Again, the minor flaw here, maybe it's a flaw, maybe it's not, but this shows wins and losses. So sometimes the wins are a little bit different from the losses, but for clarity's sake, this is probably the best we can get. So again, I like to start off with kill participation sorting. I like looking at groupings, looking at what groups of players are doing well, looking at who team fights and groups up more and that kind of stuff. So JDG are at the top. It's missing Hope and Kanavi. Kind of expected that trio seems to be popping more so than everyone else. They're just one that shows instantly. So yeah, that's kind of expected. We have Fate up there actually. His numbers are looking pretty crazy. Southwind kind of popping out there. Looks like Igao's actually been picking it up, 64. That's still overall a kind of bad mid lane number, but I mean compared to everyone else, it's looking decent. Top laners all towards the bottom and stuff, so nothing really popping out. It looks like again the JDG side, they're that trio of missing Hope and Kanavi. Same could be said for the trio of DRX. Looks like they have Zeka, Pioshik, and Deft. So it looks like their barrels kind of left out a little bit there, and feels like this is the same for top laners all the way across the board. Somehow New is actually leading the TT in kill participation. I mean, a little bit under Southwind, but yeah, so it looks like decent for New compared to the other top laners. We can look position by position, that way we have a little bit more clear picture. But I think overall, considering JD was one of our targets, missing Hope Kanavi going to be a big part of that. DRX is one of my targets as well, going to mix in Zeka, Pioshik, and Deft. I like my supports getting sweeps, so I don't know if I'm necessarily going to look for TT, look for Southwind here. I'm not sure. That one might be more of a decision to be made later, but don't love a lot for Kwangdong. Their numbers were already kind of uninspiring, and the fact that the only player that's really popping off statistically here is Fate. Maybe you can get there with Fate. Maybe you do like a weird lineup with stacking him or getting like a one off of him. That's a possibility. I just typically, their numbers as a team were looking gross, so their individual players not popping off is not something I like to see. It's not a good counterbalance really. So yeah, we'll look player by or position by position. Again, top laners, it looks like New and 369 are kind of leaping off the page a little. Kingin and Keen, although Keen is a great individual player, I don't want to take that away from him for sure. DFS numbers not looking great. They both have. I personally like to leave a soft cutoff of 60% for my players. Top laners, it's a little different because of how bad their numbers usually are, but New 369, 7%. That's a good chunk above everyone else. So good kill shares there. Also, those are probably gonna be my targets for top lane. For junglers, this is probably stack based, just whoever you're stacking up. Nobody really stands out above everyone, although it does look like Kanavi maybe a slightly bit above everyone else. But 4%, that's not a lot really. That's like the difference of like one kill or so, especially when you're looking at this sample size that I am, which is pretty small. So yeah, I think all junglers are fine. It just kind of goes with whoever you're stacking. You probably want to keep your jungler in there. Mid laners, looks like Fate kind of stands out above the rest. Over 30 kill share, that's pretty good. That's really good for a mid laner. Over 70 for kill participation, it's really good for a mid laner there as well. But again, this one kind of feels like it comes down to whoever you're stacking with. I mean, Fate's kind of above everyone else, but then everybody else is kind of the same. 7% between Zika, Yigao, and Yukao, all three of them kind of clumped up. It kind of feels like it's just whoever you're stacking with, you want to use them. It's fine. Maybe you do want to get to a weird random one-off Fate. Definitely an option. Those numbers are pretty impressive. For ADCs, again, it feels like Hope is a little bit above everyone else. That's a good amount of kill participation difference. But I mean, most likely if you're playing DRX and stuff, if you're playing TT, you're going to want Deft, Puff. I mean, Teddy's numbers are a little low. He's 62 for an AD is pretty low. But I mean, that's not that much worse than Deft and Puff. So Hope stands out a little, but yeah, this is probably just whoever you're stacking with anyway. Support, missing Southwind above everyone else. Hoyt and Barrel pretty low down there, so I'd definitely be looking more towards the Thunder Talk and JDG supports there. So keeping it within the confines of the LPL, I guess, when it comes to those positions. So yeah, I think that kind of covers everything that we're going to look at and trying to break down and understand for tonight's slate. Again, quick rapid fire thoughts, kind of to wrap this up. Like I like mixing and matching the underdog teams that I liked, DRX, TT, mixing them with my favorite JDG. Again, I think I think they're in a much better spot maybe than these odds will indicate. I'd imagine JDG will be super popular because LPL numbers, because it's LPL, because it's JDG. All the arrows indicate towards JDG. They're probably going to be the highest owned, but I don't care really when it comes down to wanting to kind of play the best plays in that area. So yeah, I'll probably have some DRX TT lineups or one. I'm just gonna mix and match DRX JDG TT, and that'll probably be my night. I'm not really buying these Team WE or Dom 1 prices, and Kwangdong Hanwha just feels a little gross to me. Don't feel like much is going to come from that series, and the low kill output I didn't really get anything to counteract that from the player numbers. Maybe Fate. That's maybe a one-off of Fate is the only outlook that I have, at least from the Kwangdong Hanwha series. So yeah, that'll be it for me today. We have a couple underdogs to pair up with a slight favorite, JDG. Overall, some close odds, so hopefully expecting some decent games, but I'm excited for these. I actually kind of like these spots a good bit. I definitely like JDG a lot. I like DRX a good bit. I'm not that as confident in TT, but that's one where you kind of have to bite the bullet and say, man, these odds feel a little weird. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at those games. So yeah, that'll be it for me tonight. Best luck to you guys. I will see you guys probably tomorrow for League. I believe we have some decent slates still coming up. So see you guys for League. Maybe CSGO. I'm not sure what the slate's looking like for them. If not, I'll see you for League. Got Call of Duty coming back again this week on, I believe, Thursday, maybe Friday. I don't remember, but we'll be on the esports DFS scene no matter what. So yeah, good luck to you guys tonight.